Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. So coming to you today, and I wanted to go over the range results from testing out the Mossberg Patriot Predator chambered in 6.5 PRC. Now I tested two different bullets like I was mentioned in the last video where I talked about loading for this particular cartridge and kind of the thought process behind it. I ended up testing the 125 grain McGuire Ballistics Copper Rose hollow point bullet, and then also the Hornady 130 grain CX bullet. I was using Ramshot Magnum powder. That generally should get you some pretty decent velocities in 6.5 PRC according to a lot of the load data that I can find. And so I ended up going with, I tested 61, 62, 63, and 64 grains. So I only loaded up four 3-shot groups for each. And the reason for that is because, again, I went over this in previous videos, but I have really weird brass counts. I just picked this stuff is range pickup brass. I've got 17 pieces of Norma, and then I have whatever that is, 14 pieces of Hornady. I found this at the range on a couple separate occasions. I always dig for brass whenever I'm over there, and I at least pick up the cartridges that I think are worth picking up, which 6.5 PRC is definitely that. And on top of that, especially this Norma stuff. So I went with that kind of odd round count just because of the brass that I have. I did leave some of the Norma left unloaded, just depending on, I wanted to circle back and kind of load up a few rounds to go see if I can kill a deer with this stuff, right? Depending on how the results went from the test. And then I left just a couple pieces of the Hornady unloaded, similar situation. Now, what I will say is I don't know what was going on with the Hornady brass and the 130 grain CX bullet. So that's how it worked out. Was I loaded the CX bullet in this Hornady brass, loaded the McGuire Ballistics in the Norma brass. Using Federal large rifle, I think they're 210 primers, just the standard large rifle stuff. I've had really good luck with those, so no worries about primers or anything like that. But when we get down here and we look at our groups, so this bottom row, this is the McGuire Ballistics. Okay, this is the 125 grain Copper Rose hollow point. Now the velocities of these groups tracked actually very, very closely to one another. Even though there's a 5 grain difference in bullet weight, these tracked very, very closely to one another. The 61 grain charge for the McGuire Ballistics, that ran a little bit slower. It was like 29.35, and for the Hornady, it was like 29.60. So about a 25 feet per second difference, but against a 3-shot group, so super small sample size. But after that, everything basically tracked almost identical. So it went from, that was the 61 grain charge weight velocity, and then over at 62, it was around 29.60. Excuse me, 29.90 to 3,000 feet per second on the 62 grain charge. 63 grain charge, we were up at 30.50 for both, and then the 64 grain charge put us right at like 31.05 for both. So the velocities tracked along pretty well. One thing that I thought was very interesting, and we'll get into the groups and all this other and what's actually going on this target, but one of the things that I found a little interesting, again, super small data set and sample size, so I'm not taking anything from it, or at least anything that I'm going to hang my hat on and say this is a definite finding or observation that was made. It was just something that kind of was interesting. I thought 3 of the 4 groups with the McGuire Ballistics bullet and the Norma brass, the standard deviation, and again, it's only 3 shots per group, but it was 3 of them were 11, 12, and 13. Those were the SDs. The other one was like 7, okay? So 3 out of the 4 were double digits, just barely double digits, but again, double digits. All 4 of the Hornady stuff, right? All 4 of the 130 grain CX bullets and the Hornady brass, they were all single digits, and the highest one out of the 4 was a 7. The other 3 were 2, 3, and 5. So 2, 3, 5, 7. So I thought that was interesting. That's it. Nothing more to say on that. Now, as far as why the target looks as stupid as it does, the McGuire ballistic stuff, this was the 61 grain charge. That's 1.5 inches center to center. This one is also 1.5 inches center to center, these 3 shots here. So I started off point of aim, and then obviously you see point of impact. After this group, I actually made a scope adjustment to the left and down, which is why I hit low here. And then came back, I adjusted up, and then now our point of impact shifted to the left. I didn't make a shift left or right. I just made a shift up. So that's the 64 grain charge. These 2 came in under 1 inch. These 2 are 1.5 inches. This one is 0.636. This is that 62 grain group. This is the 64 grain group. It came in at 0.92. So again, that one's going like 3105 on the velocity. Good stuff there. That's good stuff. All of these actually would be good enough for the hunting and shooting that I do. I could go kill a deer all day long with any of those 4 loads. Now the problem comes in with whatever this mess is we got going on up here. I don't know what was going on, but this Hornady had a drastically, this Hornady 130 grain CX had a drastically different point of impact when it came to just comparing it to the McGuire ballistics and the Norma brass. Way different. My original point of aim was here. I started off shooting down here, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm hitting to the right. You know, that'll work. And then of course shot these 2 groups, and then I adjusted down, and now I started to hit back to the left. Don't know what was going on there, but from here, point of aim was here, and I don't know what is what. The only thing I can assume is that the furthest bullet holes to the left that are obviously 6.5 diameter, those belong to this group. And then because I kept going to the right, and I'm slowly walking things to the right to the point where, oh, don't worry about that. That's actually a 243 group from another range day. I just covered that up. That was my last point of aim for the 64 grain group. 2 of the bullets are here. A 3rd one is somewhere over here, probably that one, who knows. It shot terrible. I don't know what was going on with the CX stuff. No clue. But that's pretty bad. That's a really bad point of impact shift, changing bullet and powder. Or not bullet and powder, excuse me, just changing bullet and brass, right? Powder stayed the same. Everything was loaded all at the same time. But just changing bullet type, right, and brass, all of a sudden, it's nowhere near, it's not even hitting anywhere close to what we were hitting down here. So, not even gonna worry about the Hornady stuff. My plan is to load up these guys, probably load up these 5 with the McGuire ballistics. Again, I don't wanna burn through a lot of those because I do have a plan on using those in a 6.5 Grendel, you know, kind of more of a long-term project that I really want to get back into the 6.5 Grendel. I haven't had one in a long time. I'm really itching to get back to it. I think that's an amazing cartridge. And so I really don't want to burn through my McGuire ballistics bullets just testing here in the PRC. So I'm going to load up these 5. I'll probably just load up the, probably just go with the 64 grain charge, just because. Load up those 5. I'll shoot a couple to make sure we are roughly close on our 0, and then that'll give me a few rounds to hit the deer woods and see if we can't get a deer on the ground and check the performance. So there you go. I'm sure you guys, if you've been following along and you've wanted to see the PRC results, you're probably like, hey, where's this stuff at? You're posting videos about hunting and, you know, all this other stuff. Surely you went to the range. I did, but it's kind of been a minute. And so yeah, so getting these results posted, I don't know what's going on again with that stuff, but hope you guys enjoyed it. Real short video. Just wanted to bring this to you, give you guys an update on where we stand with the PRC. I'm gonna get these loaded up, and then hopefully, we still got a little bit of time left. I got a month left of gun season here. It's January 9th, so season closes, I believe it's February 10th. I gotta go back and double check. Season closes February 10th here in Alabama, so still have a little bit of time I can get in the woods and hopefully get one of these into a deer and check the performance. So Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll catch you next time. Y'all have a good one.